DA. In an interview involving Aaron Smith Levin, it was discussed that John Travolta, who has been a prominent Scientologist for 40 years, has never been allowed onto OT7. Couple questions. Is there any other plausible explanation for this besides the gay thing? Also, why OT7 and not OT3, etc.? Hey, thanks for the question. I didn't happen to see that interview, but I'm just going to answer your question as presented. So first off, you asked about any other possible or plausible explanations. Yeah, David Miscavige doesn't want him to. Now, I don't know for sure that that's the case, but I do know that David Miscavige was furious with John Travolta over the bad audience reception and feedback on Battlefield Earth. David Miscavige was watching the dailies, heavily involved in, overseeing the production from an outside view. He wasn't on set. He wasn't the director of the movie. I'm not implying anything like that. I'm saying that he knew about the product well before the rest of us did. And he saw what it was going to look like, and he was very rave about it. And he was telling everybody it was going to be the best movie ever. It was going to blow everybody away, right? That's all according to Mark Headley. So, Battlefield Earth comes out. We all have to go see it. As I've said before, we were told we were given money as Sea Org members to go, watch it over and over and over again, and it bombed. I mean, bombed hard, and it won golden raspberries for how bad it was. It's awful. I've done a whole movie review of it. So that happens, and John Travolta's name is suddenly mud. Right? Now, this didn't filter down to us, low-life peasants down in management or at the lower levels of Scientology, but apparently up there where Miscavige breathes the refined air, they just, it was not good, man. And David Miscavige was just pissed off, and he directed his ire at John Travolta. What kind of consequences there were for that, how much he actually said to John directly, I have no idea, and probably nobody else does except David Miscavige and John Travolta. And, I don't know, probably Shelley, because she was still around back then. So that's one possible explanation for it. The gay thing is a thing. I mean, that's a big thing in Scientology. It's not a little thing. And maybe somehow, JT did the OT levels, the beginning OT levels, I believe, back in the 80s and 90s. So that was a long time ago. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I was under the impression that he was an OT back when he was... back in the 80s and 90s. So him getting onto OT7, when you start a new OT level, there's a thing called OT eligibility that you have to do. And I believe I've discussed this before, but it's basically a very long and extensive security check. And they are going to check over every part of your life. I mean, it's long. I mean, it's like 70 questions or something. It's extensive. Now, a lot of the questions are kind of ridiculous. I mean, do you work for the FBI, CIA, or any other intelligence agency, for example? Obviously, John Travolta doesn't. Most people don't. The question just F ends. It's not a question you have to take up. But there's lots of questions about all kinds of parts of your life that probably do come up for most people. And John Travolta's no exception. When he goes into session, he's not a celebrity. He's just another pre-clear or clear. So, or OT. So he goes in, and they do the OT eligibility on him, and then they say, well, you did this and this and this, so you're going to have to make up for that stuff. And this is anybody, right? Now, celebrities probably have very different things they have to do as far as making amends for stuff. So that could have included public appearances or, promoting Scientology on public media, or who knows what kind of demands would have been made of John Travolta. Maybe he's still working on that program because the gay thing and the black PR, the bad PR, bad repute on Scientology because of John Travolta's gay thing and it coming out in the press the way that it has, right? People are going to connect that with Scientology, just like you are here by asking me this question. And David Miscavige hates that kind of crap, right? So does Osa. So they're going to penalize John Travolta for that by not allowing him to go on the OT levels until they deem that they aren't pissed at him anymore. It's kind of how that works. So yeah, it's not just money that gets you up the bridge. You have to play ball. And you have to stay in the good graces of the people who matter. And David Miscavige is definitely a person that matters. So that's my answer.